In a proof of principle study, Grow and al. Demonstrated that nasogastric administration of 40 grams of casein, remember that, of casein protein effectively stimulated muscle protein and improved whole body protein balance over a 7-hour overnight sleep. So if you ingest 40 grams of casein prior to going to sleep, you actually increase and effectively stimulate muscle protein synthesis while you're asleep, so that when you wake up with a net positive balance of protein synthesis with regard to muscle protein breakdown. So your muscle fibers are always either creating protein synthesis or creating protein by muscle protein synthesis, or they are breaking down protein by muscle protein breakdown. And the aftermath of that is what's called as the net balance. So if you have more synthesis than breakdown, you have a net balance or a positive net balance of muscle protein synthesis, which is the case with the ingested 40 grams of casein. But if you were to do the same study with no ingested protein prior to sleep, you would actually wake up with a negative net protein balance. So protein turnover would actually be negative. You would be breaking down more protein than which you are building, or that which you are building. So that's also another hack, another blueprint. Don't forget to eat your protein before going to bed. Specifically casein protein. That's what you really want. That casein protein that absorbs very slowly and provides a net positive balance of protein synthesis while you are asleep. So that casein is actually working for you while you're sleeping. That's great, right? Moving on, and staying in this line of study, the same group later demonstrated a significant 22 increase of overnight mixed muscle protein synthesis in young men who ingested 40 grams of casein protein immediately prior to sleep. So this is a follow-up study. They did a follow-up study, and they actually found out that young men who ingest 40 grams of casein prior to sleep actually significantly increase their protein synthesis while they are sleeping by 22%. That's actually a big number. The same dose consumed after exercise was also shown recently to stimulate overnight muscle protein synthesis 30% more than the same dose of protein consumed without the prior performance of resistance exercise. So now we see a compounding effect. For you people who actually are into stocks, as I am, you know what the compounding effect actually is. Warren Buffett speaks of it all the time. But we actually now see a compounding effect. That is, if you eat 40 grams of protein, of casein protein, prior to sleep, you get 22% increase in muscle protein synthesis. But if you did resistance exercise, if you train with heavy weights, then ate the 40 grams of casein and then went to sleep, you actually bump up that number from 22% to 30%. More gains. Moving on. These findings suggest that the exercise-induced sensitization, that's right, sensitization of skeletal muscle to amino acid intake extends into the overnight recovery period. So this means that you get a greater sensitivity for amino acids when you work out. We already talked about that. So when you actually eat your protein prior to sleep, you eat your casein protein, your muscles are still hypersensitive to the aminoacidemia, the hyperaminoacidemia, and they can build even more muscle mass. That's great. Examined over a chronic period, pre-sleep ingestion of 27.5 grams. I'm gonna repeat this. I did such a poor job. Let's start again. Examined over a chronic period, pre-sleep ingestion of 27.5 grams of casein protein as a hydrolyzase intact protein blend augmented gains in quadriceps cross-sectional area, type 2 fibers cross-sectional area, and the sum of the several 1 rep max assessment compared to those partaking in the same exercise protocol without pre-sleep protein ingestion. So now it gets even more interesting, where they actually did a long storm format of a scientific study, and they actually found out that the people who actually eat their protein, their casein protein, before bed make more gains. They increase their quadriceps cross-sectional area, which is the typical measurement that they use to measure hypertrophy, is the cross-sectional area of a muscle fiber. They increase their cross-sectional area more, their type 2 fibers more, and they also get more strength gains compared to those who do not eat their protein before going to sleep. So, as you are seeing by this, it's a big advantage to eat your casein protein before going to sleep. Now, what are the good sources of actually the good sources of casein protein? Well, you can always buy a powder form. You can supplement in a powder form before going to bed. But actually, the one that I prefer is actually the quark cheese. So you can buy those quark cheeses. They actually come in packages that resemble an yogurt, and you can check the label and see how many grams or how many quantity of that cheese you actually need to eat to get to the 40 grams. So you should be doing that before going to sleep. You should figure out how many quark cheese or if you like to supplement, if you like to drink a shake, a casein shake before going to bed, you can do that also. But I find it more satiating to actually eat the damn physical thing. It's more satiating, and it actually upsets my stomach to drink some of the powder forms of casein, but that doesn't actually happen when I eat the damn thing and I actually eat the damn quark cheese. And you get quark cheese in all kinds of flavor. So you can have quark cheese with strawberry flavor or vanilla or pineapple, whatever you like. Just go to the store, pick up some quark cheese, read the label, figure out how much do you need to get that 40 grams, how much you need to eat of that cheese to get that 40 grams of casein, and then just eat that before going to bed. Simple.